Hey, everybody, and welcome to the watch along for Pretty Woman. Um, if you're a guy, you may think, oh God, what did I step into? But you're welcome to stay if you would like. Uh, and I figure there's going to be more ladies than there will be guys in here tonight. Hey, Kathy, thank you for saying that was a nice intro. That was actually something that I made with Canva. Canva, I would recommend that to anybody that likes to do, these kind of, it helps me do like quick on the fly intros. Here, I'm giving Canva should give me some money for advertising for them, but thank you very much, Kathy. Um, so, uh, like I was saying, I didn't expect a lot of guys, if any, to want to be in here on this one. And that's fine. You're not going to have movies that's going to be for everybody. Hey, Super Batman Nerd. Yep, exactly. Little Roy Orbison in there. Um, but for those of you guys that enjoy this movie, and there's absolutely nothing wrong if you do enjoy it. I welcome you with open arms as well as I do you gals that want to come in here. I'm now up to 730 subscribers, so a few more people are liking my content. I hope that those of you that were able to attend the movie Munchies around 3 p.m. This afternoon Eastern time enjoyed watching me make Annie Wilkes Misery Meatloaf. It turned out quite well. Thank you, Kathy. Uh, you like the Van Halen cover better, Super Batman Nerd? I don't know that I've heard the Van Halen cover. I need to check that out. So we've got this watch along coming up here in a few minutes. Monday, I will have another Stephen's Kingdom. I'm going to be talking about Creep Show, Cujo, and The Dead Zone. So if anybody wants to join me live on the stream to discuss those three movies, feel free to let me know that you would like to come on, and I'll make sure that we get the link to you. Tuesday, I will be kicking off my the first part of my Everybody Wants England, Robert England filmography retrospective, and I'm going to be covering three of the first movies that he was in, and that will be Buster and Billy, Hustle, and Sunburst. Which, if you want to watch Sunburst is free to watch on YouTube. It's also referred to as Slash Dreams. Robert England's not in it all that much, but I think he's the best thing about the movie. The movie's not terrible, but a little, it does. I will caution you, it does include a rape scene. It's not like super graphic with the rape scene. And I'm not really saying the rape stuff is melodramatic. I'm not trying to make out like that. But the overall structure of the film is a little melodramatic. But I think Robert England's character is great in it. So if you want to check that one out, it is on YouTube. Uh, so Wednesday, I haven't really heard from TJ for the last few days. I don't think I've seen him live in the streams. Definitely not. I don't think I seen him last night for the watch along. Didn't see him today in the movie Munchies. Don't see him in here now. So unless I, hear something from him, you can plan on us doing the first episode, the first half of the episodes of the final seventh season of Tales from the Crypt. Thursday, I'm planning on another Seductive Poison, the Resurgence. And Friday, as always, usually, will be me and Jay doing another Midday with Dana and Jay. Uh, I don't expect, unless it's a personal reason why I have to be out of the house on a Friday evening, us having to postpone our Midday with Dana and Jay's. Because since I've taken this new position, I don't have to work the evening shift. So, um, so we got all that coming up, plus The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, this coming Saturday as the watch along, and Sunday's watch along will be The Wedding Singer, starring Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore. So you can look forward to all of that coming up soon. Um, I don't know if Jimmy will be in here, but he was asking me about Creepshow earlier. Um, Creepshow, I've got it penciled in for. I was checking to make sure I didn't already have it on my agenda. So I've got Creepshow penciled in for August 4th. We'll be having Tales from the Dark Side on August 3rd and Creepshow on August 4th. And if I ever forget any of these that anybody says that they would like me to do, just, gently remind me and I'll make sure to try to get those penciled in for you. Okay, so in a couple of minutes, we're going to get to Pretty Woman. I have my Blu-ray all ready to go, and I have it queued up to where it says Touchstone Pictures Presents in white letters. And if you have the subtitles on, it'll say People Chattering. So I'll give everybody that's going to be watching along tonight a couple of minutes to get theirs queued up. And then we'll go ahead and get started about 7:10, a couple of minutes from now. I think it's going to be warming up a lot of places here in the coming weeks. So for you guys and gals that like warmer weather, you will certainly be happy about that, I'm sure. And as always, if anybody wants to join me live on this watch along, you can let me know. I'll be totally honest with you guys and gals. I've been feeling bad on and off today. Having a little trouble in the anxiety department, and it's called, playing havoc with my biorhythms or whatever you want to call it. And so I haven't been feeling the greatest. I know a lot of times I'm good at covering up for that, but so unfortunately, what that's going to mean for me, because I do have work in the morning, is that I probably won't stay on here very long after the watch along's over. This is about a 2-hour film. So I'll probably, I apologize in advance, but I'll probably be getting off pretty quickly after the watch along is over. Thank you, Elena. Thank you for the hugs. I appreciate that. Actually doing these things always makes me feel better, which is another reason I like to do them. They're fun for me as well. And if I'm feeling a little under the weather, unless I'm just bedridden, I can get on here and then, forget that I even feel bad for a little bit. Jimmy, you say, yes, I'm here. Thanks for the creep show and Tales from the Dark Side update. Well, you're very welcome, Jimmy. And you hope I have a speedy recovery. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And Kathy, yes, I agree. Self care is definitely important. So, on that note, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to do the countdown. If anybody comes in here later and also needs a timestamp, just let me know. I'll be glad to give that to you. And so here we go with the countdown. 3, 2, 1. Press play. I remember the first time I watched this actually was, back in um, my video rental days. But actually, it's been a little while since I've seen this movie. So, I believe that's Mr. Jason Alexander there, if I'm not mistaken. So here is Mr. Richard Gere. So I was right, Kathy. I was pretty dang sure that was Jason Alexander. So we're seeing here is the introduction of Richard Gere. He's a little bit of an asshole. The character's a little bit of an asshole. Um, but we're gonna see him change over the course of the movie. Yeah, I kind of got that too. Yeah, this is not a good guy role for Jason Alexander. Jimmy, you say, is this the horror movie version of Pretty Woman, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, best version of Pretty Woman? So Jason Alexander's telling him, you don't know where you're going, you're gonna get lost, and he's like, I gotta get out of this party. And as we could see there, right before the credits really started going, that he did get lost. And we're seeing the hookers. There was Man's Chinese Theater. So we're seeing the various body parts of Julia Roberts there. Well, I really like your perspective, Jimmy, because unfortunately, I wouldn't hear a lot of men say that, but you say not a bad movie for a rom com, and I agree with you. I think every man alive did have a crush on Julia Roberts back in the day. Um, Here's the thing I notice about Julia Roberts here: she's got a wig on, and I think she's much prettier with her actual hair color. So I'm guessing she doesn't have enough money to pay her rent, so she's gonna have to sneak out of her building here. And believe it or not, this was directed by Gary Marshall. For those of you that can listen to the dialogue and the music in the comfort of your own home and like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, you're probably enjoying this right now. And there's Miss Laura San Giacomo. And she's upset that her roommate bought drugs with their rent money. Oh, Jimmy, yeah, Sleeping with the Enemy and Flatliners, both great movies. To wrap my nerdy say I like Julia Roberts and Stepmom. Now I don't know if I've seen Stepmom or not. So we see that Richard Gere is in a very bad neighborhood right now. Uh, Link, if you could tell me a little bit more about yourself, but I'm not familiar with your name, so I'm a little bit wary to send you the link. Jimmy, you say Stepmom was watchable because of the cast. So they're um, they're seeing they're seeing Richard Gere now, and her roommate saying, you should go for him, and he looks hot. And so everybody, man, there you say it was her and Susan Sarandon. So he's wanting to argue with her, like, you can't charge me for directions. Kathy, you say he was hot in this movie. My favorite part is the clip I sent you today, and that was a good clip. I did enjoy it. I think that's a little funny because they're going on about four-cylinder vehicles. Now we have six-cylinder vehicles. So, but unfortunately, probably gas was was better back then. I would imagine. The more cylinders a vehicle has, the more gas it's going to use. So he's letting her drive. Jimmy, you say so glad that I'm doing a Tales from the Dark Side of the movie watch along. I really enjoyed that. Had it on digital and just grabbed the 4K Blu-ray. The 4K looks very good too. Oh wow, Super Batman Nerd! You say you watched last night's stream but was not active in chat because I was frozen stiff and my phone was nearly dead. Ooh man. Um, well, like I said, I think most everywhere is supposed to warm up in the coming week, which I'm not really into the single digit stuff and things like that, but the snow melted quite a bit that we got, and it's like it's going to be close to 60 one day, and I'm like, yeah, no, but I understand some people or a lot of people need it to warm up. I love those boots she has on. I know she's playing a hooker, but I love those boots. So she's telling him she charges $100 an hour. And he says, well, if you don't have any prior engagements, I'd like for you to accompany me. So we're seeing we're getting a little more insight into Richard Gere's character of Edward. And he doesn't seem like at this point quite as much like an asshole as he was at the beginning. And we're still not 20 minutes in. We're getting close. And she's feeling uncomfortable because these, hoity-toity people in this hotel are staring at her. Yeah, TJ, and I'm glad to see you in here. I thought maybe you were upset over something. I thought I didn't. I don't think I said anything, but you probably were just busy, TJ. But yeah, I did. I did see that the original ending was a lot darker, and I'm glad that they did not go with that. But you say originally this ended with him tossing her the curb after she did her job, then threw the money out the car window at her driving away. I am so glad that they did not do that. That would have made me so pissed. Jimmy, you say, same Batman. I was here for a bit for the most recent Tales from the Crypt discussion, but I also was silent. Oh, okay, TJ, cool. I think I said kind of the same thing. You see how he was having trouble using that card to get into the hotel room. When I first started using those, I had a terrible time. And as he says, I miss keys. I don't. I like some things to be spontaneous, so I understand this conversation we're having. She asked him, she's like, "Do you plan everything?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do." And that's sort of like how Steve is. Steve likes to, plan everything. And I said, like, I want to be spontaneous sometimes. There's certain things I like to be spontaneous about. So she's got condoms for him to pick one. Did you? I didn't think about that, but yeah, you say I can imagine Jason Alexander's character being the grown up version here of his burning character. So he ordered champagne and strawberries earlier, and she keeps trying to come on to him, and he's just not letting her get anywhere. And she thinks that the guy's staring at her, but he's waiting for his tip. So we've also find out that he has an ex-wife and an ex-girlfriend, and evidently an ex-house and an ex-dog. Hey, Brian, you say stopping in to say hi and show my support. Well, I appreciate that, Brian, and thank you for the digital rose. Maybe it's not a rose, but it looks like a rose to me, and I'll take it. So she named her price, and he said, "Yeah, fine." So he thinks she has drugs, and he was like, "Get out of here right now!" But what she's got is dental floss. Brian, you say, indeed it is a rose of which I only share with the ladies I support. I appreciate it, Brian. Plus, as I've said before, roses are my favorite flower. And here's a little clip from I Love Lucy. I used to love watching I Love Lucy. Aw, thank you, Jimmy. You say we all support Dana and Jay. And Jay's not here, or as far as I know, he's not here, but I'm sure he appreciates that. Kathy, Brian is a true gentleman. I've never known him to be otherwise since he's been coming into the streams, and they are few and far between these days. I'm thinking that person that wanted me to send them the link was a troll. So I'm just going back up there and banning them and removing their comments. Um, Jimmy, you say you love this chat and the people that are always in here. Well, and we all like you a lot, Jimmy. I love everybody that comes in here on a regular basis. Don't have any problems whatsoever with anybody in here. So she's now I will admit, Julia Roberts had quite the figure at this point in time. I ain't gonna lie. I'm straight as an arrow, but I can't lie about that. That's right, Kathy. I agree. You say that troll was a poopy head. Um, Brian, you say, Kathy, respect first and foremost is how I try and treat everyone until proven it is undeserved. Jimmy says, anytime like love, whatever, lol. Hey, Blair. TJ says, should always vet someone before letting them in a stream. Yeah, I was not going to let that person in there, you know, especially when they come in here and say, please don't read my name, just send me the link, please. See, Julia Roberts has beautiful, her real hair is just absolutely beautiful. You're right, Jimmy. Anytime you live stream or I didn't have that at first, but I think the more live streams you do, that is certainly the case. Good, good point, Brian. You say never trust the authenticated YouTube user in StreamYards. It's easily fooled. Yeah, I agree with Edward here. The her her normal hair color is better. Well, thanks, Brian, for popping in. As always, I love having your company, even if it has to be for a short time. You definitely take your medication and get some rest, and we'll see you next time. I think you're right, Super Batman Nerd, that this is the first time Julia and Richard star in a movie, and you believe the next one is Runaway Bride. Like she makes that comment, he's like asking her how she learned to tie a tie, and she said, "Well, I screwed the debate team." I always like this scene where she's singing in the bathtub. So now he tells her he has a business proposition for her. He wants her to spend the week with him. So again, he's telling her, how much. She says $4,000. He says 6 nights at 300 is 1,800. So they've just made a deal, to which she says, "Holy shit." So he's telling her, I want you to get some clothes. I'm going to be gone most of the day. And he says, nothing too sexy, conservative. And she says, boring. He says, elegant. And then she tells him, I would have stayed for 2,000. And he says, I would have paid for. So she's calling her roommate. So we're gonna get a taste of what it would be like if, and I'm not meaning this to be offensive, but us ladies, if we were a hooker and somehow we ended up with this rich guy, um, that gives us money to not only stay with him for a week, but to give us money to get nice clothes. But unfortunately, people look at her and all they can see is, uh, Beverly Hills whore or whatever you would want to refer to her as. Does Notting Hill, Jimmy, does that one have Hugh Grant on it? I 1980s Betamax. I didn't ever think about it because I haven't watched Runaway Bride, but yeah, I could see thinking about it. So they're treating her as if she's something that they scraped off the bottom of their shoes, and they won't tell her, how much it is. They says it's very expensive, and you're obviously in the wrong place. I agree, TJ. The bitchy sales girl trope wasn't new, but I think this movie cemented it to be ripped off over and over again in the movies after. So she's quite humiliated at this point. So she's getting questioned about, do you have a room here? You're staying here. Who are you staying with? Oh, that's cool, Sir Batman. Now, do you say you bought a heart shaped Batman Valentine gift tin? So he's basically telling her, so when Mr. Lewis leaves, that's Edward, then we won't see you at this hotel again. And so she's telling him, not that I expect your help, but I have to buy a dress for dinner tonight and nobody will help me. And she's humiliated. Oh, I did that too, 1980s Betamax. I remember in school making those Valentine boxes out of shoe boxes, and then everybody would put a Valentine in your box. So he's being nice. He's going to help her out. Yeah, Jason Alexander's character is just like this stuffy, uptight, kind of seeming to want to control Edward. So this is Bridget, and she's going to be the one to help Vivian out here. I like that because she says, Bridget, he's not really my uncle, and she says they never are, dear. So you can probably guess that she's done this a number of times. He's still a little, stuffy. Kind of got to stick up his ass because he said, "This is not, it's not a date; it's business." Yeah, TJ, good point. You said too bad they didn't expand the Bridget and Barney relationship. They introduced the attraction but didn't do much with it. Yeah. So Vivian wants to make sure that she knows, which fork to use and all that stuff and proper etiquette. So she's getting Barney to help her out here. So Edward's a little worried here. He's looking for Vivian, and Barney says, "I got a message from your niece, sir." He's like, "My what?" And Barney tells him, she's waiting in the lounge. Superman nerd, you say you seen a Superman one too, but you gave it the finger. And he's not seeing her. And looky here, so Edward is like, telling her, stop fidgeting. There's Mr. Ralph Bellamy there. So she made the mistake of having him order for her. And so she knows the salad fork and she's very uncomfortable. She's saying, "Where's the salad?" And so she's saying that Mr. Morse um, just picks his up and eats it. He tells her, he's never been able to figure out which fork is for what either. Escargot, French for snails. Sarah Bowman, heard you say you remember that you attended a field trip and they taught us food etiquette. Wow, I don't ever remember having a field trip where they did that. Yes, Red Hammer. She is her character is a hooker in the movie. So Edward has succeeded in upsetting his company, and he says, "Watch out, Lewis! I'm going to tear you apart." To which Edward says, "I look forward to it, sir." So he's telling Vivian that I refuse to get emotionally involved in business. Jimmy, you're right. I mean, in all honesty, food etiquette does suck, even if you're rich and proper. which I am not and will never be. But it does suck. I mean, it's unneeded. Um, and so Batman Nerdy say, yeah, I was like, there's no way in hell I'll be using that hoity-toity shit. So she's looking for Edward. We find out he's down in the lounge area playing the piano. perfect, perfect analogy, Super Batman Nerdy say. It's like parallel parking. It's need to learn to pass for a driving test, but no way in hell I'll ever use it. Um, Now, honestly, this scene here, I would be lying if I said that this wouldn't be, you know, a turn on. Not that I think I'm ever going to get this, but it's I don't know, it's very seductive. Not trying to break anybody's concentration there. So he's wanting her to do some more shopping. And he says, I'm surprised you didn't buy more than one dress last time. And she tells him, that the ladies at the one store were mean to her. He's Stores are never nice to people, they're nice to credit cards. So he's telling this guy, we're going to be spending an obscene amount of money in your store. And he's telling her, anything you see here, we can get for you. Yeah, exactly, TJ. We're going to have a montage. And he says, profane or really offensive. And he says, really offensive. So we're getting the Roy Orbison Pretty Woman song while they're, pummeling her with different outfits. Hey, Blissful, it's okay. So Raymond Nerd, you say, I talked to a manager and he said for him to pass the driving test, he had to drive the instructor to McDonald's. So he tells her, now you're on your own. I got to go back to work. I actually like some of the, like the outfit she just had on in the scene before. I really like. I actually like I like that brown polka dotted dress. Um, I like the nightwear and the negligees too. So now people are looking at her, with respect. You love that dress too, Blissful? And so she's back to the store that she went to yesterday when they wouldn't wait on her. And she says, basically, screw you, I'm not going to shop in here today. Big mistake, you wouldn't wait on me. And Barney sees her and he smiles. I would think that that polo matches would be extremely boring, Blissful. I have never been to one, but I think you're speaking from experience. Isn't this what every guy wants to come home to? Oh, that's right. Yeah, the dean from Nutty Professor's in this. So, speaking of polo matches, we are now at the polo match. Blissful. Is that like tonight? I asked my aunt if she locked her door, but it came out licked. It was awkward. Yeah, TJ, I did not think about that, but good point. You said the polo match is basically the horse race from My Fair Lady, I guess. I'm just looking at his tie here. It almost looks like there's a snake like going into his chest. Can't believe that those rich people are out there like turning over the grass. So we're seeing David Morse again. Yeah, I've forgotten how much I dislike Jason Alexander's character on this. So we're gonna see how slimy he really is here. And he's trying to, get her to, you know, have sex with him after Edward leaves. So, needless to say, Vivian is very hurt at this point. TJ, you say you'd like to see the original script. All the characters seem like jerks from what I've gathered. Then I think Vivian is a drug addict in that. Yeah, I would be interested to see the original script, TJ, but I am so glad that they didn't go with that. No, I don't think you missed her gorgeous red gown yet, Blissful. Actually, that is one of my favorite gowns or outfits that she has on her. You said it was a totally different movie at that stage, but yeah. So now he realizes, she's leaving. She says, "I want my money. I'm leaving." That's what you say from the corporate people and businessmen I've known. They give sleaze a whole new level. Exactly, Blissful. A good point. You say I don't really like to compare them to humans. Definitely bottom feeders. So now he, breaks down. I'm sorry. Please tell her I didn't like it when you were talking to David Morse. And she puts it simple. She says, "You hurt me. Don't ever do that again." And isn't that what every woman has said at some point in time in a relationship? Exactly, TJ. It does work both ways. It does. I ain't gonna lie. There have been just, in all honesty, there have been just as many women that have hurt men. I like that line. She said, "People put you down enough, you start to believe it." And I think that also goes for men and women. If you hear, constantly being told bad stuff about yourself, you're going to start to believe it eventually. Oh, man. He called her a hooker and he says, "Be careful, Philip." So here is the gorgeous red gown of which Blissful was speaking about earlier. And this is indeed a gorgeous red gown. And I always love this scene too. Love that necklace too. $250,000 though. Listen, you say you fell in love with that gown? Yeah, me too. It is stunning. So Barney has a really big smile on his face now. So he's just like, "You want to go to San Francisco? Yeah, we'll get on this big plane and go." Yep, Jimmy, the dreamy Miss Julia is right. You know, as he keeps saying that he's scared of heights, but he gets the penthouse. And she said earlier, she said, if you're scared of heights, why did you get the penthouse? Because it's the best. Um, Now she's saying the same thing. They're in balcony seats, and she said, um, if you're scared, why do you get these? He says, because they're the best. Exactly, TJ. She's older, but still looks good for her age. Yeah, I think it has to do with StreamYard or YouTube or both of them, Jimmy. Like I was telling Steve today, I said that you know when when I have Jay on, sometimes when I have Jay and TJ on, if I have Jay and Uncle Bill on, or any combination of people, sometimes if I play the stream back, I don't notice it, but on my end, people will be breaking up and freezing and all kinds of things. So I'm pretty sure it's not my internet, but I think it must be some glitchy thing with StreamYard and YouTube or. So she just told that old lady it was so great she almost peed her pants. Yeah, StreamYard, exactly, Blissful. So she's telling him, why don't you just take the day off tomorrow? And he's like, well, okay, I do own the company. She takes his phone away. So they're basically spending the day together as like a real couple. No work getting involved or anything like that. I love this nightgown too. It doesn't seem like they make nightgowns like this anymore. Feel free to let me know, ladies, if that's not the case, but I can't find any nightgowns like that. So, guys and gals, this is, we still got 30 minutes left, but like this was like, it's been a quick almost 2 hours. I think that's one of those testaments to a great movie is that it, it doesn't seem, it might be longer than some other movies, but it doesn't seem like it. Sir Bevan, heard you say I noticed that too, like in the Porgy stream. I think you asked me a question, but I didn't respond to it because during the stream there was a lag. Yeah, and and I noticed that you didn't respond. And yeah, I mean, I didn't think anything about it because I know how quirky StreamYard and YouTube both are. So I feel like this is the first real like passionate making love scene between these two characters. What's what you say? A lot of the gowns from that time were so beautiful. I found some beautiful patterns. I'm not impressed with the things they sell or the prices. It's mind blowing. I'll have to check that out, Elena. So he's telling Vivian, it's soon he's gonna, his business is gonna be done there, and he's gonna go back to New York. So he's telling her, I've arranged for you to have an apartment, have a car, have a wide variety of stores that'll suck up to you anytime you go shopping. And she's insulted. She says, "So you're gonna leave me money on the bed when you pass through?" And he's trying to justify it. He's saying, "I'll get you off the streets," to which she says it's just geography. I wouldn't even have to have the robe, although the robe is beautiful as well. But the gown, the nightgown itself is what I would go for. Sewer Batman Nerd says, "Whoa, a transparent nipple." So now he's completely insulted her, and now he's going to have to go to work. And so he says, "I never treated you like a prostitute." And she says, "You just did." And he leaves. So her roommate is there. That one. TJ, you say Kit DeLuca's got potential. Yeah, exactly, Blissful. You say thinking about silk sleep gowns in this weather. um, I would say, yeah, TJ, that probably she would prefer something like this to horror on a, on a regular basis. However, CK does tell me that Sarah does like some horror movies that she didn't used to like. So, exactly, Blissful. You said this movie came out before I was jaded. Yeah, I think a lot of us, men and women, have become jaded over the years. Well, great, Alfa Romero. See, I knew there were some guys that liked this movie, and like I said before, there's nothing wrong with that. You say I love Pretty Woman, one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. Bliss, will you say I was in a turquoise phase? Super Batman Nerdy. So a few years ago, when I was working this one GM, I was dressed for underdressed for the job and told me that I should have a jacket or something for the cold weather. And some girls came with some super low shorts. And I was like, what about them? I bet their beavers were super cold. Uh-huh. What so you say turquoise mood wise, leather and dress phase. LOL. So he's telling Mr. Morris, I no longer want to buy your company and take it apart. So he says, I want to help you. Yeah, if I'd been drinking something at that point in time, I probably would have spit it out too. And then he says, it's all yours, Phil. Finish it up. And Mr. Morris says, me and Mr. Lewis are going to build ships together, big ships. Excuse me. Oh, these are coming in threes and fours now, these sneezes, but thank you for the bless you, Blissful. Here's more oozing sleeves from Jason Alexander. So he's being a total sleazebag now. Yeah, he's a sleaze. And he tells her, not all guys hit, which is the absolute truth. Alfa Romero, you said the original screenplay for Pretty Woman was called 3000 and was originally intended to be a much darker film. Yes, it was, and TJ and I were talking about that earlier too, and I think we both agreed that we're glad that they did not go in that direction. I don't think it would have been nearly as popular of a movie as it turned out to be had they went in that direction. I like that line too. That's one of my favorite lines where she said, "I want the fairy tale." Don't we all want the fairy tale? You agree, Alfa Romero? Yeah, I think I would think most, if not all of us, would agree. And he says, "Stay the night with me, not because I'm paying you, but because I want you to." Nothing wrong with that, Alfa Romero. You say between Pretty Woman and Sleeping with the Enemy, Julia Roberts was my first boyhood crush. I was like 5. See, that's a very innocent crush there, Alfa Romero. So Barney is, I think he realized this earlier. He sees Vivian as a woman now, not as a hooker. Jimmy, you say yours was Madonna and Cyndi Lauper. Now, this is a song I always liked that's playing now. And if you guys and gals that can, because you're watching it in your own home, um, you can hear it. I always thought this was a very sweet and romantic song, and a little sad too. And I believe this is a great rock set. Yeah, I agree, Blissful. You say I love that song. Her voice gives me goosebumps. So Vivian is planning on, going to San Francisco and, getting going back to school or finishing up school and getting a job. Hey, X-Ray said, we watching Pretty Woman, Julia Roberts and Eric Roberts. TJ, you said there was an episode of Donahue where her and the other actors are talking Steel Magnolias, where she mentions 3000 as a movie she did that's coming out. Alvaro Romero, you say David Bowie, Iggy Pop, Go West, Roxette, great soundtrack. I agree. Leslie, you said my very first crush was Joey Ramone and then John Taylor. And we all know he's not talking about the necklace when he says it must be very difficult to let go of something so beautiful. So we see neither one of them as happy, right? So there her knight in shining armor is with a bouquet of flowers in his limo. He's like, Princess Vivian, come down. And remember the discussion they were having earlier. So he's actually going to come up, the fire escape. I'm sorry, I'm a hopeless romantic when it comes to this kind of stuff. And keep in mind, he's scared of heights. I love that. So they rescued each other. I ask you, isn't this a lot better ending than the darker ending we were talking about earlier? And we're getting the Roy Orbison song again. So, guys and gals, we have officially reached the end of Pretty Woman. The credits are rolling. I hope that everybody enjoyed this, and we've got about 10 people in here right now. We've had varying amounts of people throughout the whole night. Uh, Bliss, what you say? I can take romance in tiny doses. Jimmy, they probably would, as silly as things have gotten. Um, yeah, I mean, you can overdose on romance, and sometimes the romances are a little too sappy, but I feel like Pretty Woman's got just the right amount. Elena, you say, I'm a sap, bring romance. And Jimmy agrees with Blissful. Um, Yeah, depending on my mood, sometimes I'll be like, I can't stand one more drop of romance. And then other times I get all wistful and I'm like, yeah, I just want to watch a romance movie. Yeah, I've heard it, Wes. Thank you for coming in to bring up the Richard Gere terrible story. Um, Thank you, Super Batman Nerd. I appreciate that. And as I said earlier, for those of you that were in here earlier, I would love to be on here and stay on here um, and talk to you guys because I love doing that. I really really enjoy it. However, I don't think my health is going to allow me to do that tonight. And I do have to work in the morning, and so it would probably behoove me to get some extra rest. Um, I appreciate all of you coming in here and hanging out with me for the duration of Pretty Woman. And I hope you will spend some time with me again for the upcoming streams that I've got for the coming week and the watch alongs for this coming weekend. So, again, thank you guys and gals for joining me tonight, and I will see everybody next time. Y'all have a great night. Thank you, Alpha Romero. I hope I feel better soon too.